On the news, APC declares Osage Izeyamu winner of Edo governorship primary as self-acclaimed acting chairman Gaydom declares poll illegal. President Muhammadu Buhari words into worsening APC crisis meets with state governors in Abuja. And federal government to intensify COVID-19 sensitization campaigns amid surging toll across the country. A warm welcome to News Now. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Osage Izeyamu will represent the All Progressives Congress APC in the forthcoming September governorship election in Edo State. He emerged the party's flag bearer on Monday after a direct primary election was conducted in 192 wards across the state. Announcing the result of the primary election, Hope Uzodinma, governor of Imo and chairman of the election panel, said Izeyamu polled 27,388 votes ahead of Pius Odubu, his closest rival, who secured 3,776 votes. 6 aspirants had indicated interest in the APC primary, but 3, including incumbent Governor Godwin Obaseki, were screened out of the race. The governor has since defected to the PDP, where he has been granted the waiver to contest the primary scheduled for Thursday. Izeyamu had defected to the APC in the heat of the misunderstanding between Godwin Obaseki, governor of the state, and Adams Oshomole, suspended national chairman of the party. Meanwhile, a factional acting national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Victor Gaydom, has urged the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to disregard the ongoing governorship primary election in Edo State. Now, Gaydom made the appeal in a letter addressed to INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu and received by the electoral umpire on Monday. In the letter dated June 18, 2020, Gaydom asked INEC not to give support to direct primary election conducted by a committee chaired by the Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma. Although Gaydom acknowledged that the party had fixed June 22nd to conduct the exercise, he insisted that the primary had been postponed to a new date that will be communicated to INEC soon. Well, as the crisis in the Edo State chapter of the All Progressives Congress takes a new form, President Muhammadu Buhari has assured that all differences will soon be resolved. He gave the assurance while meeting with APC governors and President of the Senate in Abuja. Adisha Odshoga has details in this report.
The suspension of the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, has since plunged the party into crisis, and the party's quest to fill the vacant position has only worsened the misunderstanding. This tug-of-war within the party intensified calls for President Buhari to intervene in the ongoing crisis rocking the ruling party. The president, who finally broke the silence, held a closed-door meeting with the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, as part of efforts to deal with the party challenges.
We must not allow the situation to continue as it is today, because the stability of APC is the stability of Nigeria. This is the party that is running the affairs of this country. So I believe that we have to sort this out, and that will make our work even better and easier when we have a stable party, because the party is supposed to be part of the apparatus of running government. We are supposed to run or operate or implement or execute the manifesto of the party. And therefore the party is so key, so central, so essential to ensuring that government, whether on the executive or legislative side, continues to face those issues in the manifesto. And of course, the manifesto will be to make Nigeria better. So I had the opportunity to discuss that with Mr. President, who is the leader of the party in Nigeria, and by the grace of God, in a very few days, we will see certain actions that will be taken, and I'm praying that all our leaders in the party across the country take make every possible effort to get the party reconciled.
In the same vein, state governors elected on the platform of the party also met with the president to find a lasting solution to the crisis rocking the party. The governors were led to the meeting by the chairman of the Progressives Governors Forum and Kebbi State Governor Atiku Bagudu, who briefed State House correspondent on the outcome of the meeting.
At all times, he has been alive to the issues, and like I said earlier, I believe with the encouragement he gave us this morning, with the level of detail he have about all what is happening and the number of people he has listened to and heard, I believe whatever needs to be done, including the possibility of calling any organ of the party that is necessary to the resolution of lingering issues, will be done immediately.
The crisis ravaging the ruling party is further extended to Edo State, where the Deputy Governor Agbola Ajayi announced his resignation from the party to the opposition People's Democratic Party ahead of the Edo State gubernatorial elections. Also, some members of the All Progressives Congress have asked President Buhari and the National Executive Committee to dissolve the National Working Committee of the party, whom it accused of destroying and dividing the party. Adishawa Dushoga, TV360, Abuja.
Still with the All Progressives Congress, some members of the party have asked President Muhammadu Buhari and the National Executive Committee, NEC, to dissolve the National Working Committee, NWC. The protesters, under the urges of concerned APC members, besieged the National Assembly Secretariat of the party in Abuja on Monday, bearing placards and banners. They said the NWC had failed in its duties and are destroying and dividing the APC. Leader of the group, Okpo Ogenyi, addressing journalists, said the leadership tussle has ridiculed the APC in the eyes of the public, and the working committee must be dissolved before it kills the party completely. And away from politics to security matters now, no fewer than 23 local vigilante members have been killed by bandits who attacked Ruwantofa community in Zamfara State. Spokesperson for Zamfara State Police Command, Mohammed Shehu, confirmed the incident, that several other persons were injured in the weekend attack. According to Shehu, trouble started when the bandits stormed the village on Saturday and rustled several cows belonging to villagers. Local vigilante members were immediately mobilized and went after the bandits, but were caught up in an ambush set by the criminals. He adds that a combined team of operatives from police, army, and the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps have now been deployed to Maru local government area to go after the bandits. Still on security, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has charged security chiefs to do everything possible to address the security crisis across the country. The Senate leader, who met with President Muhammadu Buhari over the worsening security situation across the country, also called for improved funding for security agencies.
We should do whatever it takes to improve the security situation in the country. And we believe that the Senate and indeed the National Assembly is positively disposed to receiving even supplementary budget, purposely to address the fundamental needs of the security agencies of our country, so that we are able to empower them, enable them to fight the Boko Haram in the northeast, banditry, and other security challenges across the country. So this is one. Secondly, we also believe that in the Senate particularly, we believe that we need to provide more resources for recruitment by the security agencies. The Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the police, the immigration, the paramilitary generally need to also have more manpower and personnel. And this is not something that we can get on a platter of gold. Whoever wants to make an omelette will have to break eggs. Section 14, subsection 2B of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is very categorical and crystal clear that the purpose of government shall be to provide welfare, security and welfare, to provide for welfare, security and welfare of the people. And therefore, we have no luxury of any option other than to ensure that we address the security challenges more than any other thing.
The federal government has summoned head of the High Commission to Ghana to Nigeria, Iva Dino, over the demolition of parts of the Nigerian embassy in Ghana. Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema announced this in a series of tweets published on Monday. He noted that Nigeria had asked the envoy to give an urgent explanation on the recent attacks on apartments in the country's High Commission in Accra. Unidentified armed men had on Friday attacked the building, demolishing some parts under construction. The building was being constructed to house staff and visiting diplomats to the High Commission. Both the Nigerian and Ghanaian government have condemned the attack, vowing to apprehend the perpetrators. And to health matters now, stakeholders in Nigeria have been celebrating the country's newly attained polio-free status. Last week, Nigeria completed documentation for wild poliovirus free status was accepted by the Africa Regional Certification Commission for Polio Eradication, ARCC. The acceptance signifies Nigeria's hope towards a polio-free country by August 2020. Speaking to TV360 Nigeria on this achievement, Dr. Tunji Funsho, the chairman, Rotary Committee on Polio, said while Nigeria celebrates this feat, it is also important to continue routine immunization for children across the country.
We should celebrate that there is no more wild polio virus in any nook and cranny of this country. But as long as there's polio in any part of the world, we must continue to keep polio at zero in Nigeria, not just by word of mouth, but by deeds. We need to ensure that children still receive regularly their routine immunization for polio and also other childhood diseases. And of course, from time to time, we'll still be carrying out door-to-door campaigns once the COVID-19 pandemic, allows for that, so that there's no risk, to both volunteers and also to families. So we need to ensure that children continue to be immunized against polio. It is very important, to let people know that the vaccine is quite safe. And currently, our level of coverage is quite low. We need to get the coverage across the country of routine immunization to about 90%. If we get it to 90%, even if the virus comes in from anywhere, there should be no fear that our children will contract the disease.
You're still watching news now on TV360 Nigeria. Let's take a break here, but still to come. Frontline COVID-19 health workers protest unpaid hazard allowance despite recent release of 4.5 billion naira by the federal government.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. It's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so...
Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no. You don't need to do this. We are only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Which came out with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. Here are some of the stories we've been bringing you at this hour. Osage Izeyamu has emerged winner of the primary election conducted by the All Progressives Congress APC ahead of the Edo State governorship election. Iseyamu is expected to go head-to-head with incumbent Governor Godwin Obaseki, who recently defected to the opposition People's Democratic Party to contest the September poll. President Muhammadu Buhari has vowed to resolve the crisis rocking the All Progressives Congress, assuring that peace and unity will return to the party. The president gave the assurance today when he met with APC governors at the presidential villa in Abuja. Fresh bandit attack in Zamfara leaves 23 local security officials killed as Senate President charged service chiefs to sit up and address growing insecurity. Well, let's now give you the latest update on the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria. Coronavirus frontline workers have staged a protest in the nation's capital, Abuja, over the non-payment of their hazard allowances. This is coming after the federal government on Friday said it had released the sum of 4.5 billion naira to 31 federal teaching and medical centers across the country to cover hazard and inducement allowances for the month of April and May. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, had said a total of 55,031 health workers have been paid, but on Monday, officials of the COVID-19 emergency response team alleged that their hazard allowances have not been paid for the past 3 months. The National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed 1 new death and 14 new cases of COVID-19 in Edo State. Giving further details, Jones Toy, Director of Public Health and member of the State COVID-19 Task Force, said the new death brings the state fatality toll to 10, while the new cases push the number of confirmed cases in the state to 169. Active cases now stand at 130, while discharged cases in the state are 29 persons. On the national level, over 20,000 COVID-19 cases have been confirmed across Nigeria since February. Meanwhile, a total of 6,879 patients have recovered and have been discharged, while the death toll currently stands at 518. Now, amid the rising toll, the federal government says it will begin a fresh campaign to sensitize Nigerians on the COVID-19 pandemic. Coordinator of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Sani Aliu, at a press briefing in Abuja today, said research has shown that over 60% of Nigerians in the southeast do not believe COVID-19 is real. He says this mindset contributes largely to the increasing toll across the country.
Nigerians have continued to show persistent and remarkable lack of compliance to COVID-19 prevention protocols, which is quite worrying, really. In the cities where adherence to these protocols were high in the initial 2 weeks of the eased lockdown, progressively over time, citizens are letting down their guards, and this remains of grave concern. There is partial to total non-compliance with face mask and physical distancing protocols by the public, as earlier mentioned by the DG and CDC. Many Nigerians only use their face masks either to avoid security agents, or that is where enforcement exists, or where they are told to do so. There's also significant disbelief in the danger and impact of COVID-19. In parts of the southeast where we did a recent survey, 60% did not believe that COVID was an issue at all. We clearly are not taking the pandemic seriously enough. There are, of course, ways that we can mitigate this, and this includes sensitization and awareness creation through a collaborative effort with the other levels of government, collaboration between the PTF and the state task forces in strengthening continuous engagement, training, and distribution of sensitization materials. And this is only one way by which we can continue to try and flatten the curve.
Well, the Presidential Task Force says the federal government has intercepted 2 foreigners who tried to enter the country despite the ban on international travel. Chairman of the task force, Boss Mustafa, announced this during the PTF briefing for Monday in Abuja.
The Presidential Task Force is also not unmindful of the possibility of imports, especially through our land borders. For this reason, our men and women of the Nigeria Immigration Service remain vigilant, and this has resulted in the apprehension of 2 foreigners who tried to enter the country illegally over the weekend. This commendable effort is appreciated by men and women who are working tirelessly to ensure that they safeguard our borders and our territories from further importation of the virus.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority has said airports and airlines in the country are not yet fully ready to resume operations. This is as the June 21st date set for the resumption of local flight operations elapsed on Sunday. Latest data from the NCAA on Sunday showed that while airlines were about 70% prepared for resumption, domestic airports were 57.83% ready. The data also showed that air navigation service providers were about 80% prepared. The General Manager, Public Relations Department, NCAA, Sam Adurugboye, says the regulator is still engaging operators in the sector to address certain issues before the commencement of flight operations in the country. We'll take a break here to bring you business stories and more. Don't go away.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
Wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Business news. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengasan, and the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers have threatened to embark on a nationwide strike if the federal government insists on registering employees in the oil sector on the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System, EPIS. The associations made the threat in a letter jointly signed by the General Secretaries of Pengasan and Nupeng, Lumumba Okugbawa and Olawale Afalabi, respectively, addressed to the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Tim Silva. The union said the apprehension about the EPIS platform stemmed from the fact that it discountenanced the peculiarities of the oil and gas sector with regards to collective bargaining agreement and approved pay structure between the unions and the federal government. The Economic Community of West Africa States, ECOWAS, has endorsed Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala for the position of Director General of the World Trade Organization, WTO. In a document signed by Muhammadu Issoufou, that's ECOWAS President, the regional body said heads of state and government acknowledged the nomination of Okonjo-Iweala as Nigeria's candidate. On June 4, President Muhammadu Buhari approved the nomination of Okonjo-Iweala, former coordinating minister for the economy, for the top WTO CEO job. ECOWAS called on other African countries to back Okonjo-Iweala, who Yusufa referred to as a fearless reformer. Okonjo-Iweala's nominations has been commended by top officials, including Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the former Liberian president. We'll take a pause here and return with Stock Market Review. Don't go away. Activities on the Nigerian Stock Exchange opened for the week on a bearish note. The all-share index closed at 24,753 basis points, down 0.29%, while investors lost about 38 billion naira to close at the close of trading today. And in transactions also dropped both in value and volume terms. A total of 124.6 million units of shares exchanged hands today, and it was valued at 1.3 billion naira. And Stanbic was the worst performer at the close of trading today, losing 8.3% to close at 30 naira and 25 kobo. Nigeria breweries also shared 1 naira to make a spot on the top losers chart today. And moving on now, we see that Nestle is in the gainers chart, and Nestle was the best performer, followed by Fitzin, as well as Africa Prudential and Sterling Bank, all rounding off the top 4 gainers for today. Let's now take a look at foreign stocks and see how market performed. Yes, COVID-19 second wave increase. The fears of COVID-19 second wave increase is affecting markets globally, and we can see FTSE is down 0.76%, mixed stocks in the US as well, and we see Japan's Nikkei edged lower today, 0.18%, moving in a narrow range. And that's it on business. We'll take a break here and be back with Fidelia for the rest of the news.
Corruption not in my country.
Mr. John! Mr. John! What is it now?
What is it now?
Please turn down the volume of your music. It's too loud.
And how is that your business?
It is disturbing me. I can't sleep.
And the same way you are disturbing my right to good music and where I enjoy it. What's wrong with you? Is any other person complaining?
Maybe we thought that you have lost your mind. Are you having a party?
I'm just respecting you, sir. You remember I paid my husband too.
You will not understand why we are complaining, because you do not care about other people except yourself. Look, the transformation we need in this country begins in this compound.
Yes, now.
From you and I. This your selfishness is an offshoot of corruption. And corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. Chief of Staff to the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Vital Kamerhe, has been sentenced to 20 years in jail for the embezzlement of $48 million in public funds. Kamerhe was found guilty of stealing money earmarked for social housing for President Felix Tshisekedi's flagship 100-day building program. He denies and has dismissed the accusation as political. His lawyer also called the verdict a violation of human rights and says he would appeal. Under the ruling, the Chief of Staff will not be able to run for president for 10 years after his punishment. He is the most senior politician ever convicted of graft in the history of the Central African nation. Last week, the Justice Minister revealed that the former presiding judge, who was originally said to have died of a heart attack last month, was actually brutally murdered. And to sports, Spanish top flight side Real Betis have sacked coach Jean Ferrat, also known as Ruby, just 3 matches into the resumption of La Liga. Saturday's 1-0 defeat at the Athletic Bilbao left the club 14th in the table, which is 8 points clear of the relegation places with 8 matches to play. Sport director Alexis Chirodo, who played more than 220 games for Betis, will take over until the end of the season, with Betis next in action against bottom club Espanyol on Thursday. And that's it on news now. Many thanks for joining us. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Bye for now.